So let me give you the best writing advice that I've ever received and heard. And it's a very simple idea that comes from the great writing teacher William Zinsser. I think every writer has read his book on writing well. And the advice that Zinsser shared, and this is the thing that stood out to me the most, is that you should write the way you talk. And it's very simple advice, but I don't think a lot of people get it because it's very deep if you really think about it. Writing the way you talk means that you should embrace who you are. Right? I don't know if you ever heard of this advice and whether you ever thought of it this way. But the problem in today's society is that we want to hide, right? We don't want to put ourselves out there because what if we get criticism? What if people don't like us, right? What if we're not accepted? And this advice is so deep that it touches on psychology because if you really think about it, we all have this desire to fit in and to be liked by the group that we are afraid to really express our voice, to express how we talk. And I got to tell you from personal experience, I've dealt with this too. I've been writing now since 2015. So that's a very long time. I've written 8 books, 650 articles or more. I can't even recount exactly. But I've written a lot of words and I've been doing this professionally. I've been earning a living full time. What I've learned is that it requires a lot of self confidence to write the way you talk. So the advice is very simple. Everybody talks a certain way. So all you have to do is just put that into words, right? That's what it comes down to. You don't have to pretend like you're someone else. You don't have to write like Hemingway or Stephen King or any other famous writer. You don't have to sound like anyone. You just have to sound like yourself. That's the thing. You don't have to use jargon, when you write your emails. And it's very hard to apply this advice because, like I said, we all want to hide behind, social constructs. And I think a lot of it comes from childhood because when you were in school, if you were different, you would be picked on, you would be bullied, right? Because it would pay off to be part of a group and everyone is the same. So when we are part of a group, we just, pick on other people who are not in groups. As we grow older, we don't really rely on groups anymore, or at least we don't have to. We have the opportunity to become individuals who can earn their own living and also find their own group, right? If you are part of a group or if you are in a certain career or an industry that you know that you don't feel comfortable in, that you can't be yourself, it's okay because you can go in another field. And I've experienced that too. I started a business with my dad and I didn't really like the industry. I didn't like the way that people communicated and the work that was happening. I worked at a Fortune 500 company in consulting, and I didn't like the whole corporate speak and language and communication. And I opted out. I got out of it, and I started my writing career. And there are 1,001 things that you can do. But if you are a writer, you really need to realize that you just can't mimic others because that's not how you stand out. If you read what everyone else is reading, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you get the same output as everyone else. And by default, you're not able to stand out. And writing is about standing out, is about being different, and is about having a different way of communicating. Now, whether people like it or not, that's not up to you. And when I started out, I also wanted to be like people I looked up to, right? Or when I did my early videos, I maybe tried certain things that I thought, oh, maybe, these things, or when I talk about these topics or use these thumbnails or titles or whatever, maybe I'll get more views. Who cares, right? Um, when you think that you should write a certain way because it's hip, then you give up your voice. And writing is the act of discovering who you are and how you communicate. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And it's a continuous process because you change. So it means that you are constantly discovering who you are and how you communicate. So, for example, in recent years, these very short posts and short articles have done really well on social media. All of these one sentence um, aphorisms, almost, right? Like these punchlines, one after the other. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people who had written long form content and, wrote nice articles in the past switch to this new style and not have any success with it because they're kind of giving up their own voice. They're trying to be something they are not, and they're trying to mimic too much. Well, all the while, I've always kept the advice of Zinser in mind and said to myself, well, you know, I need to focus on expressing my voice. And if people like it, that's great, right? And if people don't like it, that's fine too. There are times when certain things are popular, and there are times when they are not. And things rotate. There's always a cycle in in the world in what people like. You can see it in entertainment. You can see it in books. You can see it in businesses. Think of the car industry. Now, as I'm recording this, we're kind of going through this phase where all of these legacy car companies are going back to focusing on hybrid models, where a few years ago they were saying, yeah, we're all in on electric, and now they're kind of walking back on it because electric cars are currently not that popular compared to a few years ago. And these legacy car companies are changing, right? They're changing their strategy, they're changing their output. Now they're seeing they're having troubles with operating their factories. People are, the people who work there are getting anxious about it. Well, all the while, Tesla has been creating electric cars from the beginning. They don't have an option. They just said, this is what we do, and this is what we will keep doing until we die. And of course, by this time, it's safe to say they won't die. But there were certain years, especially about 10, 12 years ago, before the Model 3, when people thought they will not survive. But now they're a mass market manufacturer and there's so many cars on the road that it's pretty much impossible to go bust. They can decline like these legacy car makers. Takeaway here is that Tesla basically understands what it is. It's an electric car company, and that's what they do. And these legacy car companies are a lot of things. Take Mercedes. It's a luxury brand, right? But they also have entry level cars, they have electric cars, they have AMG supercars. There are all kinds of different things. And you can also say no one knows what they truly are. But when you look at Tesla, we know exactly what it is. Now, going back to writing, you just need to uncover your voice and build up the confidence to write the way you talk at all times. And I want to leave you with the one last thing. So, in the philosophy of Stoicism, there's this idea that you should always be the same person no matter where you are and in what setting. Because on the flip side, there's a lot of persuasion talk and a lot of power talk in today's world that says that you need to be different in every type of setting. You need to be a different person in a business meeting, and you need to be different at home. You need to be different in a negotiation. And the Stoics said, no, you should not act. You should be a complete individual, an honest person who knows who they are. You need to be driven by your morals. And if you are a complete and rounded individual, you can just be the same person no matter where you are. You don't have anything to hide. You don't have to act differently in front of your friends versus when you are at home. You can be the same person. And if you are a balanced individual who doesn't have any weird characteristic traits, you don't have an ego, you don't want to prove yourself, right? You can just be the same person, whether you are at work or you're with your parents, with your partner. You can just be the same, and that's okay, right? You don't have to be someone else. Why should you act? What's the purpose? Oh, so you can make some more money? Who cares, right? If you can earn an honest living, and this is also from the Stoics, that's the thing that counts. If you can make money by being honest, by all means, try to make even more money. And in today's world, it is possible. Now, we always see that scammers and whatever people make a lot of money with crypto and real estate and whatnot, and that's okay. It's also a natural part of the world. But as writers, we need to be honest and we need to learn to uncover the things that other people don't see. That's your sole task as a writer. You need to observe and put into words the things that other people don't see. So when they read you, they say, ah, okay, I never thought of it that way. Oh, that's so true. And this is why a lot of people love fiction. They read these stories, and these stories explain a lot of day-to-day things that happen in life, and the reader is being entertained while all the while also thinking to themselves, oh, I can relate to this, oh, I've experienced this, or you know. Same thing with TV shows and movies. So that's what we do as writers, and I'm assuming that if you're watching this until this point, you're a writer, or at least you want to be a writer. And it doesn't matter, right? If you want to be a writer, you are. And in fact, everyone is a writer in today's world. We all write so much. So this is one of the key things that I teach in my course, Effective Writing. It's a course that I've been teaching since 2016, and a few thousand people have joined until now. And in that course, I really teach the principles of effective writing, which is writing that sticks and writing that achieves its purpose, right? Because every time you write with a different goal. And the idea is that you should achieve that goal, whether it's to entertain, to inform, maybe even to sell, right? Because that's also part of what we do. So I hope you found this useful. If you want to learn more, check out my course, Effective Writing, and just make sure that you always write the way you talk, because that's the thing that sets us apart from other writers, but also from AI.